We'll start with a spoiler-free, I guess, kind of like, you just dip your toe in the water real quick, just
Right.
for people, that may have not seen The Flash yet. We saw it this weekend.
Right.
We are going to do our deep dive. And boy, was this interesting movie, to say the least.
Yes, it was.
I think I'll start with my score, Adrian. I took my oldest son with me, and we saw it. And the minute it was over, he looks at me, he goes, "That was cringy."
Wow.
And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, It was mid, and I'm like, that's a good way to explain it because I'm gonna give it a 5.5.
I agree. I was more optimistic last week when I gave my prediction. I think I gave it maybe a 6 something or a 7 something.
Yep.
I'll do a mid only because it had some highs. Well, it had some mids.
Yeah.
It definitely had a lot of lows.
Yes.
So I'll give it like a 4.5 or 5 today.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I mean, it was, for me, was an enjoyable movie at times. Like, I'm not disappointed that I saw it, but I'm in no rush to see it again. We saw Spider-Man, a few weeks ago, and I'm like, I can't wait to get back to see this one again. And I do not have that feeling leaving this one.
The only thing I can say about, well, not the only thing I can say about this movie, the one thing I can say is I'm not as disappointed in this movie as I was in Black Panther 2.
Okay.
Only because I kind of figured this movie would kind of be mid.
Yeah.
I don't want to say I knew it was going to suck, but I knew it was going to kind of be mid, so I really didn't have any expectations for it.
Yeah.
But I predicted that it was going to be a little higher only because of the other elements that were in it. The not Jack. I was going to say Jack Nicholson, but
Surprised he wasn't.
Right, exactly. Because of all the other cameos
Yeah.
that appeared in the show. So it didn't suck. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm glad I saw it. But I would not have, if in hindsight, I wouldn't have rushed to seeing this show other than to review it here.
Yeah, I would say, like, for the spoiler-free part, the good, the bad, the ugly for me is like the good. Unfortunately, the best parts of the movie were not the Flash, in my opinion. It was the Batman stuff. Like, I really enjoyed, the Batcave as much as. Now, I will say, if you've been watching our show, a lot of our predictions, came true. A lot of the things that we were scared about came true. Like, I went into this with a Michael Keaton bias. And I did feel seeing, just like I said in the trailer, and this is stuff we've seen already with him being this acrobatic, Batman who's taking out 3-4 people. He's fighting General Zod. Like, at 71 years old, it was distracting to me. That was one of the but I think the Batman presence, like, I think Ben Affleck did a great job in the small, limited role he had there. We got to see him as Batman and Bruce Wayne. That was cool. And the bad for me, man, this movie, I feel like it was all over the place. I feel like a lot of the humor didn't hit. The ugly for me is a lot of the CGI was so inconsistent. There were times where I'm like, we'll get into it in a little bit, but there were things I'm like, it's so distracting because of how bad it looked at times. A lot of even just the running scenes just didn't look like the Flash that we've seen in the Justice League and whatnot. So to me, CGI was hit or miss all over the place. And the movie was just, there was a lot going on, but I feel like this, as much as they try to make the stakes really big, I don't feel like I got that. It didn't hit.
Well, for me, the thing that stood out, the overarching thing that stood out was, did the same writer write Spider-Man?
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
we're trying to make this spoiler free at this point,
Yeah.
but we'll do a deep dive later. But it's almost like the same writer wrote both movies because there were so many elements toward the end in this Flash movie that was so similar to Spidey and Multiverse.
Absolutely. So, well, I said 5.5. What was your score?
I'm gonna go with a 4.5 or 5.
Okay. All right. So 4.5, 5.5 in that range. That's our little toe dip. We'll do the deep dive after these next segments.